Do you know what horrors lie beyond that wall?
No.
Then you go first.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, ThirstTrap. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.
Clickbaity. ThirstTrap, ThirstTrap, ThirstTrap. What's up? What's up, America? Welcome to Monday, March 15th. And another dope episode of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. I am your host, one of your two hosts, Marcus Farrell. Mondale will be joining us shortly, I hope. But for right now, we know we got to hold it down. And I just want to say to everybody in America that is watching Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap right now, you're now rocking with the best. You're now rocking with the Squirrel Gang. You're now rocking with your Trap Squad. You're now rocking with folks who are politically free. Their minds are willing to be opened by truth, not a certain political ideology, unless your ideology is based in truth. We're not here to scare you too much. We're just trying to be here to make sure that everybody's free. Our indigenous Americans, our African Americans, our Latin folks, our people of color from around the nation, our folks who are white, our white brethren and sisters who want to come all the way live and understand that until the small of us are free, all of us are free. And I'm going to ask y'all to do something in my Kirk Franklin voice. And Dwayne, we can go ahead and just bring this. You might as well go ahead and bring this up real quick. I'm going to ask y'all to do something real quick. I'm going to ask you to not be a bitch ass person in my Kirk Franklin voice. Shout out to Kirk Franklin. I'm dedicating every single cuss word on this episode to Kirk Franklin. That's right, Kirk Franklin, the multiple Grammy winner, idolized by the Black church. No, the same church that occasionally takes aim at our program, saying that we do a little bit too much cussing and we do a little bit too much fighting and we do a little bit too much. Oh, y'all are just too much. Yes, we know we're just too much. But you still got a Kirk Franklin album. And we all know the truth. Pastor cusses. The first lady of the church cusses. If they got kids, they did the naughty. What I'm saying is this right here. We're all imperfect. And to be honest with you, we can't judge because whether it's cursing or not, he got his point across to his son. And as Dwayne pointed out, and many other people pointed out, he was kind of right about it. Because if you're going to record your dad cussing you out, and then you're going to air it to the whole world to see, like literally airing family business, then excuse my language, you just might be a person who is a bitch ass person. Dwayne, do we have that recording?
Okay, if you think I'm bringing this paper, let me say it like this. When your bitch ass starts saying some shit that's disrespectful, you need to get your skinny motherfucking ass back out the goddamn way before I put my foot in your ass. Because I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. Shut the fuck up. I'm old.
What's up?
I will punch your neck, nigga. Don't you ever disrespect me.
I did it. He just hung up the phone. I'll break your neck. Is that a threat?
I will put my foot up your ass. I will break your neck if you ever disrespect me. Let me tell you something. Rosetta Bobo said that to me. I would be so scared. Here I am, a man in my 40s, and I would be literally scared to death if my mama said that right there to me. That means that she's real angry. And as many a black parent has said, I brought you in this world, and I will take you out. That's right, Nat. That's right, Nat. He sounded like Pinky from Friday. Niggle. I only bring this up because with me and the kind of human being that I am, I only respect Kirk Franklin even more right now. I am going to stream his music back to back to back, and maybe even start putting puffy type ad libs like niggle in between. First, don't let me down, niggle. I can't explain it, niggle. So, GP, are you with me, niggas? Oh, I'm just having fun. I'm just having a little bit of fun there, Trap Squad. But shout out to parenting. Shout out even when you were an adult. Even when you think you were an adult, you think you're grown enough to talk crazy to your parents. I mean, and here's the thing about it. No matter what happened, and I'm not sitting up here saying that, parents can't be toxic, because we know they can be toxic, right? But, you got therapy. You got the option to walk away. You got the option to not record your dad and the conversations that he has and put him on blast. You got these options, right? But and here's the thing, for a guy who's probably reaped the benefits of Kirk Franklin being a platinum selling artist and a multi-millionaire, for him to kind of just record him and put him out there after probably a lot of the things that he's blessed that guy with, I think, without knowing the whole story, I'm just going to, give my opinion. That was a bitch ass move. Anyway, when was the last time you and your parents got into a fight? Plus, also, there's a lot of us who don't have our parents around anymore, right? And you want to go out of your way. Do you want to go out of your way and have your last conversation being one where you recorded your dad saying he was going to choke you out? You know what I mean? Listen, I done caught all the cussing outs I could possibly catch. I caught one at school. I caught one at home. I caught one in the front yard. I caught one in the mall one time. And every single time I asked for it. So I have to really check myself about how I respect my mom and how I respect my dad and how I respect my parents. But that's neither here nor there, man. We got some politics to get into, man. And I'm going to tell you like this right here, right now. The Republican Party lost their gumption and lost what it means to be an American citizen. The Republican Party has essentially become an anti-American party, while they gaslight America into believing that they are the party that is the true Americans. The tenets of the Constitution, we know the Constitution was written for white men. The Constitution wasn't even written for white women. The Constitution damn sure wasn't written for black and brown men and women. But the Constitution created tenets, and the amendments that followed created tenets that made America what the vision of what America is supposed to be in the future. Republicans forget that white people were the first immigrants to this country. That's right. So now that they have established, all the territory, all the land, all the property, they are protecting white interests. And I'm not talking about all white interests. They're protecting corporate Americans' white interests. And they're protecting corporate America, and they're hiding it in toxic whiteness. Let me say that right there. They're hiding it in toxic whiteness. Because if you say that they're hiding it in white supremacy, they're going to say, well, I have a black best friend. And then they're going to roll out a Candace Owens or somebody like that to be the white best friend, right? Like there's enough Negroes out here. There's enough African-American people out here right now that will toe the line and agree with Glenn Beck and agree with all these Republican talking heads and these Republican elected officials. And I don't want to talk about Republicans, But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about them in a point where we know that they're the ones who are doing it. You know, I have a bad habit, folks. I get in my car and I have Sirius radio, Sirius. And I get in my car and I used to listen to Joe Madison a lot because Joe Madison will cuss you out like an old man. I love Joe Madison, right? He actually have the coin thing wherever he cusses and stuff. Joe Madison will cuss you out. And then, you know, I go over to Progress and I listen to Dino Bagata. Oh, I see, I said his name wrong. When I get his name right, folks, y'all get me right. And I listen to, and then, you know, also, you know, of course, all the YouTube shows. But that's no fun because I know what they're about to say. They might expand upon a point, but we all kind of think alike, right? Except when, you know, Urban View might go a little neoliberal every now and then, but, you know, black neoliberal is more progressive than some white progressives talking about black issues, but we're not going to go there right now. So what do I do? I listen to the conservative channel, man. I do. I listen to it. I listen to it all the time. It is the best. It is the best thing popping to me on the radio. And the reason why, and I know I shouldn't be, well, I don't buy things. I know they count streams. I don't buy things from their network, but I listen to them. And I listened to for the past 4 days. Well, first, for the past 3 weeks, they've been talking about, you know, Dr. Seuss, right? Before that, it was Mr. Potato Head. Oh, Mr. Potato Head looking ass boys and girls. And then they started talking about Dr. Seuss. Now, Dr. Seuss is a confirmed racist. I don't care what anybody tries to like gaslight you with. If you go back and look at his drawings, all the black people had the big lips with the white around them and you know, very Sambo-ish, right? And Dr. Seuss perpetuated this at a time where those who had influence in the media could literally influence the world, but at a higher standard because there wasn't that many outlets to do it. So Dr. Seuss, you know, some of his early drawings were for newspapers and for books, and you know, folks read a lot more than it, even though it was a small amount of people. They, you know, we got videos now, we have radio. They didn't really have the same level of it. Dr. Seuss just perpetuated it, and now. So they went from like defending Dr. Seuss because the Dr. Seuss Foundation, and that means the Dr. Seuss Foundation is the foundation that currently runs his things. They were like, well, in the day and age of Black Lives Matter, in the day and age of equality, in the day and age of us trying to be better, we need to just get rid of six different films out of their arsenal, and we need to get rid of 6 different pictures that he drew. We're not going to air them publicly anymore because they were racist. And you know these guys on this talking, you know, these talking heads on the conservative radio, they just flipped a wig. But now they're flipping a wig over HR1. And HR, and we've talked about this before. As a matter of fact, I did a live stream over it a couple of weeks ago, but now it's getting dangerously toxic because they're pulling Trumpism and the falsities of Trumpism and the conversations about how fake news is everything is fake news besides what they say, even though what they say is literally riddled with the conspiracy theories that basically trump some of the theories about everything that has happened negatively in America, right? Now these guys are going out of their way to say that HR1 is a ploy. HR1 is a ploy. HR1 is illegal. HR1 is unconstitutional. Forgetting that their party benefited. Forgetting that their party completely benefited off of tearing down the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. They completely benefited off of stripping everything that you possibly could and then allowing their states to do the most draconian, almost pre-Jim Crow era laws in these different states around the nation. And they're trying to reverse everything in Georgia right now. But that's more than in Georgia and Arizona. They're just trying to affect it so only wealthy white folks can vote. How do you get rid of souls to the polls? No, seriously. Like, this is a party that screams they're religious and they scream faith and they scream God, But then they turn right around and won't let the churches take their people to the polls. This is what they're trying to do. And they don't like H.R. 1 for a very specific reason, because they cut out all of their shenanigans. H.R. 1 does something that I forgot to mention that's very important. H.R. 1 affects gerrymandering at a congressional level. So not only can they no longer pass the draconian laws, but they can actually make fair districts out of H.R. 1. But you hear these conservative radio stations gassing their people up. And if you were ignorant to the world, which a lot of these people are, you think that H.R. 1, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which is going to be very interesting to watch Republicans stand up and try to filibuster the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Like, this is going to be an amazing thing to watch. It's going to be fun to watch that right there, Republicans standing on hours and John Lewis, he just, what are you going to say about John Lewis, bro? But that's what they're doing right now. So I want you guys to, like, especially my white people out there. I love you all. I need y'all to inform your relatives that there's two sides to every story. And in this case, when it comes down to the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, there is the truth and there's lies. Those are the only sides to it. America, people should be allowed to vote. If you're eligible to vote, you should be able to be allowed to vote. And there shouldn't be restrictions placed upon people to allow them to vote, especially in a day and age where the argument against it is voter fraud. Because the Republican argument against voter fraud has been disproven over and over and over again. You think there would be thousands and thousands of Americans who were committing voter fraud across the nation. There's not thousands of Americans that are committing voter fraud across the nation. There's maybe less than 100 of them, maybe less than 50 of them. And most of them are what party? Come on, Clickbaity. Come on, Trap Squad. What party is that? Ding, 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 ding. The Republican Party. They don't want black people to vote. They don't want brown people to vote. They want to make it hard for us to vote. So we have to get this voting rights. We got to get this H.R. 1 passed. It is our staple legislation. I think it's the most important piece of legislation right now. And the reason why I say that is because y'all know I'm a fan of reparations and Rep 1. Oh, I'm a fan of it. I want reparations worse than almost anything in the world. But we still got a couple of more elections to win before we get the right-minded people in office. I heard a rumor today that our dear brother from Kentucky, who ran for U.S. Senate, Dwayne, what is his name? Why do I forget his name? Our dear brother from Kentucky who ran for U.S. Senate and got beat by McGrath. Anyway, we'll get. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot his name. But he's thinking about running against Ryan Paul. Yeah, Booker. There you go, Booker. Appreciate that. He's thinking about running against Rand Paul. That means that we need fair elections for that kind of things to happen, because he's a guy that believes in reparations, and he'll be in the U.S. Senate. We need somebody to primary Kirsten Sinema. We need all these things to happen across the nation. And we won't get reparations until there is a fair voting rights for all of us. Republicans are literally calling the stimulus, which we're about to move into. Republicans are calling the COVID stimulus reparations. Yeah. Let them tell it. The Republican Party of America is literally telling their people to call a $1,400 check reparation. Republicans are a hot mess. They're a goddamn problem right now. But they've been a problem. And the thing about it is they've been an organized problem that keeps whooping our ass on the left. Why? Because we don't do things when we get power. Now, I will say this right here. I do think Biden has done a couple of things, especially what we're about to get into, right? But there's a bunch of, I'm going to lay down and let these Republicans walk all over me, because I'm afraid that moderate people in these states won't like me if I actually do something for people. We know that's a damn problem, Trap Squad. We know that's a problem. So what do we do? What are we going to do about this? So because a lot of people have gotten on us about like, okay, stating the issue and not stating the problem. Every single American who lives in America, if you live in America right now, and that is from Samoa all the way to Puerto Rico, that's right, all the way to the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, all the way up to Maine, up to Alaska, all over the continental 48 states. You have a congressperson or a senator that you can call. You do. You got to let your voice be heard. You do. And we've kind of gotten away from that because what happens is we put all our energy into elections and then just like a good night of sex after the orgasm, we go to sleep. Well, some of us do. Smoke a cigarette. Just relax. Meanwhile, Republicans are treating us like tricks. They put their money on the table and they get out the room and they go find something else devious to do. I got to excuse my analogy, especially in the same conversation I mentioned Kurt Franklin. Let me down, nigga. We just having a good time, man. Let's talk about the governor of New York for a second. Let's talk about Andrew Cuomo. So, listen. I don't know how much we've brought this up so far on Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. But there's a bipartisan effort at this point. Of course, Republicans are being a part of it. But now some of the most prominent Democrats on the planet are calling for Andrew Cuomo to resign. And the reason why is because, well, look, he has been doing some naughty things as the governor of New York. He's done some bad things. 6 women, is it 6 or 7 at this point? But 6 women have all came out saying that he has either sexually harassed them or he said some, he sexually harassed them or he's, done some foul things, and he's been having mad sexual allegations against him. And listen, Cuomo calls it flirting, but I've also heard people who have perpetuated sexual assault as flirting many times. Men do it all the time. Shit, some women do it. That's not sexual assault is not a gendered thing. Everybody can get sexually assaulted. And typically I would be like, let's hear the whole story, but it could be coordinated, but I'm not going there. Cuomo needs to resign. It's time for him. It's time for him to go ahead and bite the bullet because it will be better for the state of New York, right? But this is one of those cases where, an elected official is more willing to put his career, his power over having a state that believes in his leadership. And right now, I can tell you a lot of New Yorkers do not believe in his leadership. So in the article that I wanted to post, this is from Politico, written by Bill Mahoney. New York Assembly set to hire an outside counsel for Cuomo impeachment probe. Albany, New York. The New York State Assembly in its process of hiring an outside law firm to help with its impeachment investigation of Governor Andrew Cuomo. Speaker Carl Heastie said Monday. Heastie, speaking to reporters in the New York Capitol, said an announcement will come sometime this week. Cuomo would not sign off on any contracts, Heastie said. Hold on. The speaker did not have any details on how the investigation will proceed or how long it might take, but it should be done expeditiously. See, I always mess that word up, but it's the TI word. He said, but I think that you have to come back with a decision in a week or two or a month would be unfair to the process of an investigation. Cuomo did not need to sign off on any of his contracts, as he said. He didn't yet have a projection for how much it might cost. It's not just lawyers, it's investigators, it's stenographers, it's all the things they would need. I'm sure they'll tell you what the bill is, he said. The assembly decided last Thursday to launch an investigation, which could be used on the basis of New York's first impeachment trial over a century. Cuomo has been reported that he has no plans to resign over the mounting allegations of sexual harassment, handling of nursing homes during his early stages of the pandemic. Keep that comment up. Keep Butterscotch's comment up because I do want to talk about that. Because this is kind of where I'm going. Democrats, we pick and choose our battles, and we do it all the time. Meanwhile, real people suffer. Real people suffer. Men and women across the nation have brought up sexual allegations against Democrats consistently for years, and we pick and choose our battles because we want our people to win, and we were definitely headed that direction. I got a funny feeling that if Cuomo's name hadn't been thrown around for president, this would have got swept under the rug too. But if Cuomo had won a primary and these same allegations that came up, I guarantee you, we wouldn't be seeing the same amount of fever, let's just say. We pick and choose the way we want to play our politics in this game. And I think all investigations around sexual misconduct should be handled and treated in the same goddamn way as you treat anything else. Treat sexual misconduct allegations with a fair hand, but also with the same amount of energy as you would treat a Donald Trump when he said he was just going to grab women by the pussy. We don't do that for our side of the house. And when we do it, it becomes politically expedient. Now, I am going to say this right here. There's a very progressive woman who's the lieutenant governor of New York that I think would actually be a great replacement to step in and take control and also maybe even make a more progressive state. Because New York is a progressive state, even though we have neoliberal, moderate leadership in that state. I mean, and if you think about the congressional delegation from New York, some of the most progressive speakers and minds in American government, in the history of American government, are coming out of New York right now. I wouldn't mind seeing a few of those folks start doing some primary action. I wouldn't mind seeing some of those folks actually stepping up and running for governor. But what I want to make sure that we do is that when we see a piece of shit, just because we put salt and lettuce on it, and put it between two pieces of bread, all it is a shit sandwich. It's not a tuna sandwich. And that's what we do as the Democratic side of the house. We wait till it's okay, quote unquote, okay, when somebody makes an allegation. I'm going to bring up race for a second, as I always do, because this is Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. There's been so many allegations that I've heard from black people and brown people about the way white folks have treated them in situations that have been brushed under the rug. And the people who don't complain about getting mistreated get elevated. And we see it all the time. I will go through specific stories, but I don't want the people who've been harassed in the past to actually be like, hey, why you said my name on your show? I got you. No worries. But I can just tell my own story, which many of you have heard. And it's definitely more so the same thing with women. Women who play the role, women who have been victimized but don't say anything. Two things either happen. They either get elevated or they get blacklisted. No matter what happens, though, at the end of the day, the first thought of the powers that be is to blacklist a woman. Why am I saying blacklist? I'm sorry, whitelist a woman. They want to whitelist women for even contemplating how they felt uncomfortable around someone. We got to make the workspace feel comfortable, men and women of power. Don't get it twisted. There's been many situations where women of power has harassed men and other women. So this goes both ways. Let's not get it twisted. But we just need to believe people. And then we need to at least investigate things and look at things from a neutral standpoint and let evidence come out, but at least bring it to the forefront the same way we bring it to the forefront from our enemies. I think people are capping. I think people are wasting time. I think people are full of absolute BS. And Tunde, I'm sorry, I keep using my hands to take away the focus from from what I'm doing. You know, I express myself with my hands. I try to stay in my little air box that someone told me about. So, you know, if Cuomo was smart, he would step down, unless he really feels like he's innocent. If he's innocent, he got a lot to prove. But on the same token, if these allegations are even anywhere mildly true, and I do think they are true because he has actually even admitted that he was just having some playful discussions. Nigga, please. What's a playful discussion? What's a playful discussion to a woman who might be 21, 22, 23 years old and look at you like you're one of the most powerful people, not only in the state, but in the world? Not even in the city. In the world, Craig. Folks playing games, and we need to keep the same energy when our side of the house gets called out. Thank you for the super chat, Ben 31. Cuomo has an executive order 203 that is due 4/1 for April 1st for all New York police departments to submit their police reform plans to jeopardize their funding. I think it's payback, and I'm not a Cuomo fan, but the timing is fishy. Shit, it may be, man. Politics is crazy. Power is nuts. Power is absolutely nuts. So that, you know, it might be. I mean, if it's fishy timing, then let's have an investigation on it, right? All I care about is keeping the same energy that y'all keep with the opposite side of the house. I saw black men get their whole careers demolished because of an accusation. Just because of accusations, not from 15, 20 people, but from one person. And I even know the whole story. That one person was just mad because the brother wouldn't date him, but he still got his career messed up. So it can happen, but for the most part, when you start having multiple accounts of evidence and you don't keep the same energy for everyone, you let white men just kind of roam free. I don't know about y'all, Trap Squad, but that's a problem to me. That's a problem to me. So at the end of the day, keep your hands to yourself. If you got a little slippery, nasty little tongue, you know, keep it in your mouth and hold your mouth. Don't say no bullshit, because to be honest with you, we're living in a day and age right now where people are tired of the BS. Y'all ready to move on to Uncle Joe? I said Uncle Joe. Joe is not my uncle. Mondale will murder me for that one right there. Border crisis threatens Biden's political momentum. The Biden administration is scrambling to accommodate this is from the Hill, a swell of immigrant children at the border, seeking to ensure the growing problem is being amplified by the GOP attacks doesn't submarine its political success in the COVID-19 front. Fresh off of a big legislative victory, the passage of a popular $1.9 trillion relief measure that's sending $1,400 checks to. Have y'all got y'all check yet? You got your check if it's pending? Shout out to homeboy who got $1.4 million and then posted it on Facebook. You know, don't get arrested, bro. If y'all get $14 million or $14,000, make sure y'all get that money back. Just take your $1,400 and, you know, fight for reparations. Unless you're like, that's immediate reparations. I'm out. And then you go seek asylum in some foreign country. Oh, so basically, 3,000 immigrant kids, boys between the age of 15 and 17, they're getting moved to a convention center in Dallas to ease the crowded conditions at the Custom and Border Protection facilities. Right now, there are 14 to 17-year-old kids basically marching their way to America. They're looking at the success of DACA. They're looking at a new president. They're looking at the fundamental tenets of what America really is, if you think about it, that Republicans try to deny us, that this is a country where you can get a better life. And these immigrant kids, they're not working jobs that the Republican Party wants. They're always talking about how they're taking jobs. I ain't never seen one white man in a suit go do any kind of work that the immigrant population of America does. They don't pick nothing. They don't wash nothing. They don't clean nothing. They don't fix nothing. They just buy shit. That's right. The Republican Party just buys stuff. And the biggest complainers are the more wealthy people. They buy stuff. They just put money into the economy because they keep getting all the money from the economy because they're screwing us. We can't even get $15 an hour minimum wage. So check this out. So they don't want us to have $15 an hour minimum wage. They don't want us to have a decent amount of funding. And added on to that, they don't want people coming over here and working jobs that don't pay us. So they want to force Americans to do work and not pay us a decent wage for the jobs that we currently have. And to be frank with you, they've been giving white farmers so many subsidies in America. Well, a lot of them deserve it. A lot of them is just a slush fund. Without Biden's relief package, black farmers, which are 25% of the farming economy, black farmers wouldn't have gotten a dime, and they still don't get the same amount of subsidies as African Americans. But the immigrant kids, they're coming over here, they're coming from South America, they're coming from different places in South America. They want to make a better lives for themselves. And population is blowing up down there at the border. Population is blowing up. Population is blowing up to the point where those nice little, I guess, apartment jail boxes that the Biden administration put out there. Well, first, let me just say this right here. Anything that Biden does is going to be much better than what the Trump administration does. So let's just clarify things before I go into the complaint. The problem is that they shouldn't be detained in the first place. We've bought so far into the Republican narrative of immigration that we actually think that baseline is putting them behind a fence. That's the baseline. We've bought so far into, so Democrats even believe, well, you know what, we might let them out one day, but first when they get here, we got to put them behind the fence for a couple of weeks, months, years. That's a baseline. Not let's try to get them integrated. Not let's try to figure out we can get them some IDs. Not let's try to figure out how we can fulfill the promise of what America started on. What these white folks, Scottish and English ancestors came over here for and stole land from Native Americans and then made black people build it up to gaslight us and tell us we ain't have nothing to do with it. And the black folks who are always complaining about, well, they taking our jobs. No, they not. Your black ass don't want to go out there and do that work either. No, they're not. Stop capping. If I drive from Tallahassee to Atlanta, Georgia, I see about over 100 farms. I ain't never seen damn one of you Negroes out there doing a damn thing. You don't want them jobs. Stop capping. Right? Population should deserve to work. And here's the thing. We should deserve to get paid. Black folks should be getting paid for what they currently do. Employment opportunities, education opportunities should be given out to us at the same rate that they are for white populations. Man, listen, I went to Jacksonville recently, and I went on the beach. I started looking at houses. These houses cost $1.3 million, and they look like a house that you would see in a regular old neighborhood. Like, just, not even to have a garage. These weren't palaces. These was just chill little spots. And they were like 1.3 million. Like, seriously? So I took a walk around the neighborhood. You know I did. And y'all know what I was looking for. Did I see it? Did I see it at all? No. Opportunities for people of color are not afforded to us, right? And instead of trying to blame immigrant populations, black folks, brown folks, who aren't of that population, try to look at the American government for the opportunities that they've denied us consistently. That's a start, right? Don't get me wrong. When it comes down to reparations in America, that belongs to American descendants of African-American slaves. Yes, I said it. I said it. I'm going to say it again. I do believe that African-American enslaved people, their descendants deserve reparations from America. I believe that every single European colonized country that has enacted slavery, y'all find y'all people. I do also think that policing in America on its own against black bodies deserves a certain amount of reparations too. And that can include a lot of black folks that are not about the diaspora, but they've been affected by it historically. But there's a way that we can figure these things out. And that's why HR 40 is important, even though the study's already been done. But there is no reason for us as a people to try to downplay the immigration situations that's happening at the border, that's happening in Florida. We think it's just brown kids, but y'all forget about the thousands and thousands of black people that are caught up in immigration systems across the country that are your neighbors too. Show some fucking solidarity when people bring up immigration. Because when they do it to them, they're going to do it to us. They're just trying to figure out a different way. And that's my immigration story. I hope y'all get it. I'm not trying to cap here. I'm trying to make us intersectional country that actually can do things that actually make us grow, make us better, right? We're going through COVID-19, and $1,400 is the only thing that they gave us. Meanwhile, we still have a multi-hundred, almost $1 trillion military industrial complex. And they got us squabbling amongst ourselves for pennies. We got to get real. And Biden can fix it if he wants to. There's different ways to handle immigration situation in America right now, especially kids, right? We could divert a lot of money from other places and put it into making sure that kids have a safe place to land. We're also talking about countries that these kids are coming from that we destabilized. That's right. A lot of these kids are coming from countries that we've done some kind of interference because they were afraid of socialism in the 80s. And we destabilized their governments because of their governments who were thriving and doing well, and their people wanted more socialism. Their people actually wanted democratic socialism. We destabilized their whole government, and then we wondering why their grandchildren and their kids are headed to America. Every single time you see one of these kids that come from South America, come from the lower portion of North America, every single time you see one of them, Central America, every single time you see one of them, ask them where they're coming from and remember what kind of military presence that we had in their country back when their country was thriving. Think about the reasons why most of these countries that are black and brown led aren't thriving like the top 5 white countries of America. And how they treat their brown and black people as second-class citizens. And in America, we got a special case because they got a whole government of America. They have a whole government department in America that messes with that they have for black and brown people. It's called the police. You don't see the police in their neighborhoods. You see the police right in the neighborhoods where those 14 to 17-year-old kids who are headed to America right now are probably going to live if they don't get deported back to a country that we destabilized 30 years ago. But I'm just talking shit. Nigga. Kurt Franklin. Dwayne, what else we got, man? What else we got? There you go. We're taking a quick break. We will be right back.
Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, thirst trap. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, thirst trap.
Evanston, Illinois, a community of 75,000, has traditionally stood in the shadow of nearby Chicago. But these days, it's in the spotlight, garnering international attention for a first-of-its-kind, government-funded slavery reparations program aimed at eliminating the city's racial wealth gap.
Reparations is to make amends for egregious crimes or actions against the community. And our local case for reparations in Evanston was found in housing.
Evanston's reparations program, spearheaded by Alderman Robin Rue Simmons, will use tax dollars generated by city marijuana sales to provide grants of up to $25,000 to eligible black homebuyers. But while the $10 million program is being heralded by many, economist William Darity, co-author of From Here to Equality, says reparations need to be dispersed not at local levels, but at federal levels, and shouldn't be limited to programs aimed at home ownership or scholarships, as neither will erase centuries of violence, economic dispossession, and second-class citizenship.
The government either legally sanctioned some of those actions or turned a blind eye to those actions. So it's the federal government that we think is the culpable party.
Darity has calculated the amount that he believes the federal government owes descendants of enslaved people, not just for the period of enslavement and abuse, but for the decades of discrimination and redlining that followed.
We still find ourselves with mass incarceration, ongoing police executions of unarmed blacks. We have a sustained process of discrimination in housing, credit, and employment markets.
How much are we talking here? The reparations, like the actual amount that it would take to make black folks whole, how much?
Well, the total bill would be in the vicinity of $10 to $12 trillion to eliminate the racial wealth differential.
Let's stop the video right there. Let's stop the video right there. $10 to $12 trillion. You know what? Fuck off. We want every single dime of it. I'll say it. Yes, we want every single dime of it. You know what? To me, if Jeff Bezos is worth a couple of trillion or a billion, whatever, however much he's worth, every single time you kill a black person in America unarmed, they deserve that kind of money. Because see, Jeff Bezos was allowed to be alive and thrive and be white, and Zuckerberg was allowed to be alive and thrive and be white, and so many other trillionaires and billionaires were allowed to be alive and thrive and be white and amass massive amounts of wealth. Zuck even said it himself. What does Zuck say? Zuck said this right here. Zuck said, well, listen, look, guys, I'm privileged because I could leave Harvard and go start a tech company. Even Zuck knows it. Now, would they do anything about it? Nah, but you got to understand something. Those $12 trillion, it's not like they weren't earned. And hence, this is why I say that HR 1 is important. Because we have to be able to vote. We have to be able to create and construct city councils that look like Evanston, Illinois. Because if the federal government won't do it, then we got to do it ourselves. If your congressman is not willing to upset his white counterparts in whatever caucus that he's in, the War Caucus or the Corporate America Caucus or whatever caucus that he's probably joined, but the whole time he's saying Black Lives Matter and I'm gonna come out here and march with you, then we have to actually take it to the city level. We got to get our money back. We got to get something back for what has been done to us and atrocities in America. I mean, we go through it every day. If y'all think George Floyd's family getting $27 million, which that was, awarded to them, as I said Friday, George Floyd's family was awarded $27 million. And I mean, it's probably one of the most egregious, Rain, we'll get to that. Keep that comment up. It's probably one of the most egregious things that ever happened on camera. You know how many other folks, you know how many deaths that have happened in America by the hands of police towards Black Americans? If we start adding that up, if we just start adding the amount, let's just take $27 million and multiply it by every single person that was unarmed and killed by police in American history. Y'all think we'll get anywhere close to 10 trillion? All the lynchings that happened in the 50s, all of the mamas who died from stress by seeing their kids get killed, all the daughters like Erica Gardner who died from basically stress from seeing her father get killed. Let's take these numbers. Let's take $27 million and multiply it by all of it. Matter of fact, let's go further than just police brutality and gang brutality that was called lynchings in the 50s throughout the 1800s and 1700s. Let's take it a little bit further. Let's take $27 million and multiply by every single slave that was over here that did that work. Let's make sure that we add the Black slaves, enslaved people that built the Capitol. Let's make sure that we add, I got another one. Let's make sure that we add each neighborhood that the federal government put a national highway through. Let's just give $27 million to that right there. I can do this all day, but I am well over 10 to 12 trillion already. Y'all don't hear what I'm talking about right now, man. This clickbaity political thirst trap, man. Look. Like, subscribe, follow, share us. Stop what you're doing right now. If you haven't liked this video yet, please like this video. If you're on Facebook, share it. Shout out to all my Twitch folks. I saw y'all following me on Twitch. I got like 100 followers on Twitch. Bang, bang, old man politic coming through. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Dwayne ain't cheap. Tunde ain't cheap. They on in my ear right now talking about where my money. Where my money? Listen, like and subscribe this channel, man. Send us a super chat. Throw some acorns up just to show some love, right? We still have swag coming. You know, we went on our little vacation a couple weeks ago, but we still have stuff coming. We still gonna make the moves happen, right? But we are gonna keep bringing you this fire, this prophetic fire, as much as we possibly can. You know, we also living lives and you know, don't have a billion followers, but you could do yourself a favor and you can tell 5 of your friends to watch us next time you come on. Just tell 5 of them. Just say, 5 friends, do me a favor. Tomorrow night at 8:30, the best show on YouTube is coming on. And it's called Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. They're going to be like, what? Clickbaity, what? I don't watch no clickbaity stuff. I don't watch no thirst trap stuff. Yes, they do. You check their browser history. Be like Google. Check their browser history. I bet you they go to porn sites, and I bet you they watch ratchet YouTube videos. Instead of doing that, they can come over here for an hour and learn something. Y'all trill folks, man. Black folks been going through it, man. Think about how many people that $27 million. Think about how many people that $27 million across the board that black folks have had to suffer. Hell, let's just go to like careers. Let's talk about like how black folks lose $100,000 jobs for the same kind of shit that white people do all the time. Let's talk about all the black women who've gotten fired over their hair, their natural hair that comes out of their head. So let's say that job that they got fired from. I'm just doing some simple math before I get into my next topic, but I'm gonna do some simple math here. Let's say that every black woman that got fired had a job that was maybe worth $90,000 to $110,000. So let's just say $100,000. Every black woman that got fired for her hair, and it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. So let's say that their average job span was going to be anywhere from 10 years. So what's that? You know, before taxes, that's $1 million. That means that a lot of these companies owe black people $1 million. I brought up that wealthy neighborhood in Jacksonville because I walked around it and I didn't see any black homeowners. Then I go to some of the most expensive neighborhoods across the nation, and I don't see black homeowners in these expensive neighborhoods. Then I think about, well, there's black folks who have the same square footage as white people, but their homes are worth $500,000 to $700,000 less than their white counterparts in a different neighborhood. And I think to myself, what happened? And then when you realize that's redlining. So let's add on to that bill that we talked about. All the black neighborhoods that were redlined. See, we don't even have to guess with redlining because we can just look at square footage, how much a land property value is in a black neighborhood with the same, in comparison to a house with the same square footage as a white neighborhood. One might be worth $2.3 million. The other one might be worth $400,000. How much you owe us in that? I'm not the math person, but how much you owe us right there, right there. Right there. Oh, let's talk about PTSD and stress. Let's talk about how many black Americans were stressed out with PTSD. Not from the military, but from you killing our leaders. It's been proven. People we looked up to as black folks. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. This goes on and on and on and on and on. Fred Hampton. That were killed, publicized, bodies dragged in the streets. Families had to walk behind them. Let's talk about all the people that watched that right there. That got to be worth at least $100, $200 in the cheapest form. I'm talking about, I'm trying to, I guess, without realizing, I'm trying to add up the bill to $12 trillion here. Before y'all say, well, wait, it's too much money. Y'all ain't say it was too much money to build that highway straight through our neighborhood. That costs money. You had to take a bulldozer. You had to find cement. You had to print out paperwork saying if your black ass ain't out of this property within 24 hours, we're gonna take you out. Woo! I'm having a good time. Oh, and how about just the N-word? So randomly used, right? And I'm not talking about black folks telling other black folks, nigga, even though we probably shouldn't be doing it, I don't care. Because y'all get at this point. I'm talking about when white people say the hard ER. Like this basketball team. We got that clip. High school basketball team whose announcer called the N-word claps back with the state championship. Now, you know, look. First, there's no better, greater motivator than somebody calling your kid or your teammates the N-word. And the guy who said it, let me just go back. So this weekend in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, a basketball announcer called members of the Norman High School basketball team fucking niggers because they committed. They did what most sports teams are doing right now. They took a knee. I don't know if YouTube is going to tag us for that, fellas. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I said the hard ER, but I'm black because I think it should be said. Because that's what he said as a radio announcer to all the people who were listening to a basketball game. He was pissed off that they took a knee, so he called them the N-word. Because that's what racists do. See, and we be thinking, and the funny part about it is these girls be thinking, and people think, humans think, black folks think, there's a lot of us that are innocent. And without that hot mic, we look at a lot of white folks like, man, all y'all, some of y'all cool, right? Not knowing that they're actually representing them. They're not calling it. So can this person organically call and announce a game in a neutral fashion? Can this sportscaster call a game in a neutral fashion? Is it possible for them to call a whole sports game in a neutral fashion? Now, I want you to understand something about these sports games, these announcers. Some of these announcers can make or break you when it comes down to getting a scholarship, because every recruiter can't go to the game. Think about that for a second. So here you are trying to get recruited. You're probably on obviously you're on one of the best basketball teams in the state. And if you won a state championship, that means you're one of the best basketball teams in the nation. They won a whole ass state championship after this incident happened. Mud on the face. That's motivation. Y'all tell y'all kids to be motivated and let the haters motivate them from now on. There's some meaning behind that. Tell your kids to get motivated off the hate. Oh yeah. And the guy's excuse. Yo, check out what the guy's excuse was. Now I done heard black folks saying I got the sugar and I got to watch what I eat. But his excuse was I got diabetes. So check this out. Did y'all know that diabetes makes you racist? Trap Squad, did you know that diabetes? Did you know that I didn't know this, but maybe that's why insulin is so expensive. I just figured it out. I just figured all of it out. Insulin is expensive because it stops racism. Insulin is expensive. So you know what? You got to go up to Canada. Hold on. I'm going to read this in a second. Keep it up. But you got to go up to Canada because they're not racist in Canada. That's not true. Some people are racist all over the place. But there's not as racist in Canada. You get you some of that $10 insulin. You come back to America again. You give it to your friends because insulin makes you not racist. But diabetes by itself alone makes you racist. Remember that, white folks. Y'all watch y'all meals. Y'all make sure y'all have a healthy diet from now on. Drink a lot of water and grapefruit juice and all the good old stuff to keep your stomach straight and keep your blood pressure low and keep your blood sugar levels low. Because if you don't, you're going to catch diabetes and you're going to become a racist. Call teenage black girls niggas. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So first, yeah, he made this comment believing his microphone was off. Now, here's my thing about racist. I would have respected him more if he had just said, well, I said it. I said it. I said it when the microphone was on. Because you know what's more dangerous to black and brown folks than racists who want to say the N-word when the camera's on is the ones that want to say it when the microphone is off. Because that's the same thing as the ones that, I'd much rather my racist not get into a room after an interview and say, well, he just kind of acted black. I'd much rather my racist say, we don't hire black people here. Get your black ass out of here. Yeah. Racism. Matt Rowan on Thursday, March 11, 2021, most regrettably made some statements that cannot be taken back. during the Norman High School girls basketball game against Midwest City, I made inappropriate and racist comments, believing that the microphone was off. However, let me state immediately that's no excuse. Such comments should have never been uttered. I'm a family man. I'm married. I have 2 children. And at one time was a youth pastor. I continue to be a member of the Baptist Church. I have not only embarrassed and disappointed myself, I embarrassed and disappointed my family and my friends. Okay, let me just dissect that paragraph. I'm a family man. That means that I have white children. To him, this is how he gets out of it. I got a white wife. I got white children. Y'all can't be that mad at me. And my white wife and my white children, we went to church. I even used to be the youth pastor at the church. I can't be racist. And let me break down the second part of that paragraph. I have not only embarrassed and disappointed myself, I have embarrassed and disappointed my family and my friends. No, you didn't. You let the cat out the bag. That's all that happened. The only reason you writing this right here is because you let the cat out the bag. Trust me, if you were so comfortable with saying that on a hot mic, matter of fact, if you were comfortable with saying that in a crowd, even with social distancing, you just said it publicly. That means you're not embarrassed. That means you just got caught. Last paragraph. I will state that I suffered type 1 diabetes, and during the game, my sugar was spiking. While not excusing my remarks, it is not unusual that when my sugar spikes, I become disoriented and often say things that are not appropriate as well as hurtful. I do not believe I would have made such a horrible statements absent my sugar spiking. I told y'all. This is scientific evidence. No, sugar-free. If you don't take your insulin, you're gonna call me the N-word. I can't take this, man. I can't take this, man. I can't take this. I can't. Yo, listen, let me tell you something. And somewhere, and I know I missed the story, but somewhere on talk radio, there was a Republican or this alt-right or this right-leaning person who was like, well, maybe he's right about diabetes. Listen, they agree with this stuff. They make up these laws at the border. They do things like touch HR 1. They and be anti-HR 1 and don't want us to vote because they are racist. People always look at clickbaity political thirst trap like, why are y'all always talking about race? Well, some of the most important issues in America right now, the most important issues in America right now, are all based in race, and nobody really wants to talk about it from that angle. I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm crazy. Y'all see me last Friday. I was turning up at the cigar bar. I love that place. But matter of fact, shout out to Highland Cigar again, ever in Atlanta. Go check them out. But most of our issues in immigration, let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. First off, let me tell y'all something very important. If there was an island full of white people and all the Republicans weren't trying to move to it, and all the kids from that island were in poverty, and they were coming to America, there would be 5-star hotels waiting for those kids to come over. Maybe not, because capitalism is a bitch. So y'all got to excuse me. But it just won't be the same reaction, right? It won't be the same reaction. And I mean, and then here's the thing. Y'all do have your black friends that will defend you. Now, I got one last video. What time is it? Okay, I got one last video before we call this thing quits. I got one last video. Show the Jones character video. We gotta show that guy. We got Johnson. What's his name? The hero? Yeah, let's show Ron Johnson.
Well, no, and let's face it, I'm also criticized because I've made the comment that on January 6th, I never felt threatened, because I didn't. And mainly because I knew that even though those thousands of people that were marching to the Capitol were trying to pressure people like me to vote the way they wanted me to vote, I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, and Joe, this got me in trouble. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
Wow.
Let's face it,
It's a big statement, but it's a true statement. We see the recent history.
Well, and let's face it, people didn't board up their storefronts in metropolitan areas in case Joe Biden won. And now you take a look at what's happening in Minneapolis with the trial.
Hey, yo, fuck those two guys. Like if you could, like, I want all of the energy of the Trap Squad, of the Squirrel Gang. I want all of the energy of everybody watch right now. You don't have to say it out loud, but I want y'all to all close your eyes with me. And on count of 3, we're going to just, say it to ourselves. We're going to say, fuck those guys. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Fuck those guys. That's right. They don't even, they deserve nasty language. They deserve a Kurt Franklin. Your old bitch ass. That's what they deserve. There's no, like, do we need to explain this? First, let's break that down. First, Black Lives Matter and Antifa there. You know how I know Black Lives Matter wasn't there? Because there was one black person. And not one Congo drum and not one radio bumping anything live. We bring our music to our protests. Defund the police. We have lively celebrations. You have t-shirts with positive statements on it, saying love, not overthrow the fucking government. But you weren't scared because they look like your neighbors. Y'all remember when I just said what scares me more is the guy who calls us niggas when the microphone is off? Those two guys, those are the ones. Those are the guys that scare the hell out of me. And guess what's more important? That guy's a senator. That guy's actively passing laws. Meanwhile, we have Democrats who are like, well, we don't want to piss off our Republican colleagues, so we don't want to do anything about the filibuster. You see how we cater to racism in this country? You see how Black Lives Matter is literally the new version to Republicans of the welfare queen and gangsters and thugs. They don't even use those statements anymore. They don't even call us gangsters and thugs anymore. They just say Black Lives Matter. So the real gangsters and thugs are getting off the hook, by the way. You could be a gangster now and be like, well, shit, they ain't talking about me no more. Nah, fuck those guys, for real. I mean, I know I've cussed a lot, but no, those guys deserve all the motherfuckers that y'all can possibly muster. Send that energy their way. Because until we fix the quiet part, their policies are the loud parts, and they will always shine through. That's why, understand something. I want y'all to understand something. This is very important about January 6th and what that guy just said. That guy's a powerful white man in America. And he just publicly basically had their back because he wasn't scared. He just reemphasized racist tropes about black people, and he's still a sitting senator. Racist tropes that have been having police officers target people like my cousin Jonathan Farrell. Racist tropes that had Derek Chauvin's knee on a black man's neck for 8 minutes. We have no reason to be angry with, well, we have a lot of reasons to be angry with you, but you have no reason to be angry with us because we ain't been killing y'all. This guy's using a trope from when he was doing cocaine in the 80s off of Wall Street desks, saying the black people, they're just the ones who are doing all of it. It ain't on us. That guy right there, that guy is the problem. That Republican right there is the problem, not us. And until we fix the quiet part, and we start, and I'm talking about in unity, in unison. Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema. Are you buddy-buddy with these kind of guys? Do you understand that they approach policy with thought processes that black men are thugs and they need to be, and black people are thugs and they need to be afraid of them, but white folks storming the Capitol, they weren't afraid of those folks? It's a shame. It's a shame that that person has that kind of power. We get death threats and won't get elevated for just saying that's wrong. For just saying what they did is wrong. Black folks get blamed and yelled at and talked down to and talked at. But a Republican will get elevated and reelected. So that guy's a U.S. Senator. I think he was a U.S. Senator. He was a state senator. He's a U.S. Senator. That guy was a senator. And he makes a statement like that, and he hasn't even gotten recalled yet. America ain't great yet. America ain't great yet. Well, we can get there. We can get there by passing bills like H.R. 1 so the people can start talking. We can get there by actually enacting policies that people will remember forever, and then vote for the right folks that will actually do something for us. We can get there by actually enacting policy that affects African Americans, Indigenous Americans, Latin Americans, American Americans, white folks, everybody. But until we get to that point where we realize that we have to take care of the least of us, those guys like that, they get a pass. So you've been watching another episode of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. Please like, share, subscribe, kick it with us. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm pretty sure Mondale will be back with me. I know the brother was traveling this weekend. And with that, we're going to say peace. Have a good night. See you tomorrow night.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, Clickbaity political. Yeah, Thirst Trap, Trap Squad, Squirrel Squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent Clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, thirst trap. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you